Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show I have Steve Yoak in Ohio. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Dylan. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Before we hopped on here, I was saying, I've got some Ohio investors coming on here today. Is there something in the water out there in Ohio?
Hawaii, for sure, something in the water. Akron, Ohio, no, probably not. Just a lot of good cash flowing assets out here in the Midwest regions, right? I mean, that's where all the cash flowing assets still exist. Everyone always jokes the Rust Belt's where you find the cash, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard lots of great things. It makes me want to go and invest out there. I'm in Texas, so us Texans tend to think that, we're the hotbed of all things real estate, and in many ways we are. But I've heard so many great things about Ohio that I said, man, I got to go check out these deals. But you have an interesting background, former teacher, real estate investor. Now, how did you get into real estate investing?
Yeah, so I bought my first house when I was 23. I just graduated college. I was house hacking right before it was cool back in 2013. Before
Yeah.
that, kind of piqued my interest. I was cleaning out rental properties for a couple of my buddies' dads who had some rental properties in the Akron area, and was like, "Man, you're getting paid for this? This is great." And
Yeah.
we were a little bit beat up. We were mixing 30 different cans of paint together to put on the walls, but that's not my style, but that was his style, and after house hacking a few different houses, buying a turnkey rental from a fellow investor in Maple Heights, Ohio, which is kind of by Cleveland.
Hmm.
I kept buying properties and finally started selling turnkey rentals to out-of-state investors and then manage them on the back end. And then just kind of that was about 4 years ago, I quit teaching. So my son was born April 17th, 2021, and that was my last day as a middle school teacher. Um,
Wow.
and this year we're on pace to renovate about 200 houses between ones that we're flipping and ones that we're keeping. I don't really work
Let's
for anyone else per se, but the flips do get
Let's
sold
talk
too.
about scaling a business, Steve. Going from being a teacher to now, you mentioned 200 deals. That's
Yeah,
incredible scale. Congratulations on all your success.
thanks.
What were some turning points there for you, and aha moments where you said, okay, this is what I'm really going to dive into. This is my niche.
Yeah, so I was doing these burrs and I was holding the properties, and then I met someone that said, "Hey, I have an out-of-state investor that wants to buy a cash flowing asset here in Akron." And I was like, "All right, like great, cool, whatever." I was just linear focused on finding the house and then burr out, right? And he's like, "You do a lot of updates to your properties, Steve. Like they're really nice." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I want them to cash flow for a long time to come, right? I don't want to
Yeah.
have furnaces go out. I don't want to have a leaking roof. I want to have updated stuff so I get good tenants." And he's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what this person wants." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "It's like a turnkey rental. It's already done. Someone was living in it at the time. I rent it to her for already 6 months. And he's like, yeah, here's what they'll pay for it. And we'll do an inspection and close on the property in 30 days. And I was like, okay, you
Yeah.
know, so it happened. And I was like, well, that was pretty simple. It's just what I already do every day.
Doing
And
out of state now.
not every day, but at night when I wasn't, teaching school and on summer and weekends and all that stuff. But it was just stuff I already did. I was like, oh, this is super repeatable. I just update it how I would update the property for myself. And then either I keep it or I sell it to someone and then manage it on the back end. So we joke that you can go in any house and it's identical. You won't know where you're at besides for the layout of the property.
And i- in a way, when you're doing these deals at scale, you have to have that kind of approach to it. And I think a lot of people stumble on that because they come at it from a perspective of each home is unique, which it is. But in order to scale, you have to have systems and processes. And I've spoken to a number of people who do this remotely, and it's even more important then because if you're not there, if it's not in your area where you can physically go and visit a site, then you have to have not just trust in the people, but trust in the process to be smooth.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, 100% about having process. And I don't know how I would do it virtually just because of the relationships that I try to build with people on a daily basis
Yeah.
being here. I don't necessarily work on I don't do any work in the rehabs. Start there, right? Two left thumbs or whatever you want to call it. I don't swing the hammer. I might stop in, check at things but I have two project managers now full time that manage the projects. I'm in the background kind of orchestrating, making sure things are flowing and whatnot. But I just try to make those relationships with new contractors, with new buyers. Maybe it's some private money that wants to invest, whatever it might be. I just kind of make sure everything's kind of moving status quo and we're meeting those new wholesalers that are, in the market. I always joke I am the largest buyer of real estate in Akron, Canton, Ohio. I am
Yeah.
the wholesaler's best friend. So there's so many virtual wholesalers nowadays, right?
Yeah.
And you said you do some wholesaling,
I'm
correct?
one of them. Yeah.
Right. So you've used Investor Base before?
I haven't used Investor Base. I've used quite a number of other tools, but talk to me about Investor Base.
Yeah, so I found out this is from other wholesalers. Multiple people have told me this. They're like, yeah, we go into Akron, Ohio, and we look at like, hey, I got this deal, and they look at people around there who have bought deals, and they're like, it's Steve Yoak, Steve Yoak, Steve Yoak, Steve Yoak, and they're like, so we just call you and say, hey, we have this deal, and they run down what they know about the property, and if they have photos, I kind of give them a rough estimate of where I'll be, and then usually they don't even half the time they don't even lock the deal up. They just send me in and they're like, Steve, go give me your number. So we walk it and we text the number within 10 minutes of leaving the property. And I say, hey, I need to be at 40. And I'm like, go have fun. Like,
That is very interesting because that's exactly how I met my mentor. Not through Investor Base. There's one investor lift, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah.
where I had a property under contract west of Dallas in a town called Azle. I cold called this guy Ryan. He ended up passing on the property. I didn't really know what I was. I shouldn't say didn't. I didn't really. I did not know what I was doing back then. And so I had this property under contract. Photos were taken by the individual who owned the property. It was in, of course, distressed condition. So it was like zoomed in photos of a closet were like the first four photos. And he's like, brother, these are terrible photos, but here's my offer on the property. And then we ended up becoming friends from there. He had never ended up buying one of my deals while I was living in San Antonio, but I'm actually now in a podcast studio that I made on a ranch that he owns in Dallas-Fort Worth Metro. It's crazy.
Man, real estate, the places it'll take you.
For real. When you left the teaching world to go do this full time, was there a period of growth where you had to then do this on another level, or was it a smooth transition because you knew that, well, I'm preparing to leave, this is now gonna just be the new chapter?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the big push that I always talk about when people ask me are like, my wife was 8 months pregnant. The school district said if these levies don't pass, these teachers are going to be let go. And I was already 8 years deep into it, and me and my wife both got RIF letters or layoff letters if the
Really?
levy didn't pass. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
So my wife's out there 8 months pregnant, and we just built a house in the city we teach in, Brunswick, Ohio, and she was walking door to door 8 months pregnant, hanging "Vote for the Levy" signs.
So can you break this down for us? Because I'm not familiar with any of this terminology here. So
Yeah.
basically, if they weren't going to get funding, they were going to have to cut teachers?
Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
they let you know ahead of time that if this doesn't pass, that unfortunately you can't stay here.
Yeah, via the contract, they had to let you know by May 1st. I'm sorry, before May 1st, I think was the deadline. And the levy was like May 6th or 7th or something like that. So they let us know in early April.
A 1 month out.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
it was pretty obvious. I mean, like the
Okay.
district kind of made it known that, like, hey, we're going to have to RIF teachers if this doesn't pass. But they had to give those notices in advance of the levy in case it didn't. So
Were
me and my
schools
wife,
closing too?
what's that?
Were schools closing?
No, they were just reducing the amount of
Reducing.
teachers so class sizes would grow. We were in a
Okay.
district that had, like, I don't know, 400 teachers, 450 teachers. It was
Mhm.
pretty large for the area, right? So they were cutting like 10% of teachers, like 40-ish.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm
So it was,
imagining that in reflecting on that, it's kind of what would you say, bittersweet, because of course, teacher 8 years probably thought you were going to do that extended, but now here you have this booming business. So it's almost a great thing that happened in a way.
I can't, and you know what's really funny? We found out after the fact, after I've already made the decision I was going to try this full time, that they riffed more teachers than they should have. I shouldn't have been on the list. They didn't do their due diligence and find out how many teachers they actually needed to riff or lay
Yeah.
off. They sent out letters to twice as many teachers as they needed to.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Wow.
So
I'm at a
just-
loss for words. I don't even
Yeah.
know.
Just because some admin didn't want to do their job efficiently, they scared an extra 50 teachers, right?
Steve, do you ever have folks coming to you from that community, from the education community, whether it's people you worked with or people maybe in other areas saying, I really don't know anything about real estate, but I heard of your story, I'm facing a layoff or something similar. I'm kind of scared. Do you have any guidance or so on and so forth?
I've never had the layoff thing necessarily, but I've had teachers that are in real estate already talk to me about, like, hey, how was that transition? What did you do with your state teacher retirement? What did you do with this? And I rolled it over into a self-directed IRA. So
Yeah.
that was kind of nice to just tie it directly into real estate and start lending it out immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely a conversation. People are like, hey, I want to leave my job, but I don't know how to do it. You got to remember, I was always kind of like teetering with real estate since 2013 to 2021. So I was like building a foundation over those 8-9 years.
At that point in time, it wasn't like you were just jumping right into it, had never done it. You had lots of foundation there established. But pivoting a bit here, Steve. So 2021, going full time. Today, you mentioned 200 deals. Do you have a specific buy box? Are you looking at single, multifamily, corporate housing, short term? What are you looking for in your deals out there?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, so I keep it pretty simple. 900 square feet plus. And then I do a 20-minute radius of my office building in Barberton, Ohio, which is in between Akron and Canton.
Hmm.
So that includes like the suburbs and the city, because the cities aren't huge, so 20-minute radius we can get to pretty quickly. And then I like to have a value add, right? So I can put in that equity by renovating stuff. And then after we renovate them, we either refinance them or we sell them to an investor that wants to buy an updated asset. And I know turnkey gets like a sleazy name, I believe, because a lot of people say something's turnkey, but the furnace
That's
is
the problem.
30,
Yeah.
35 years old and things like that. So we always update all the mechanicals to have 10 years of life plus on them. So, for example, if the furnace is older than 10 years when I buy it, I replace it. If the hot water tank's older than 5, I replace it. I always add a first floor half bathroom, redo the bathrooms, kitchen, flooring, paint, lights. That's a simple thing to do. And we don't do like tile. We go like direct to studs, tub surrounds, 3-piece. So they're efficient, easy to clean on unit turns. If they have old wood windows, like the original windows in houses, we always replace them with vinyl hungs. So we do those updates that a lot of people would consider, oh, it's turnkey, it works. No, I'm
Yeah.
not going to leave the fuse box there, okay?
Yeah, that's a
We're going to
huge
put in
liability too. I wouldn't
yeah.
want to put myself in that position, especially like if I was doing one off and I'm an unscrupulous character, I might not get, you know, dinged or I might not get sued for that. But if you're doing it on scale, it's like you have to. Um,
And we do inspections and all that stuff when buyers buy it, appraisals, things of that nature are an everyday thing, right? Every house gets inspected by a licensed home inspector before the sale.
I do want to talk about scaling a business. So of course, when people talk about fix and flips or fix and refi, the process tends to be I'm going to start with a couple, and then before you know it, I've got 15 going at once, and now you're at a point where you're doing this in such great volume. What was the scaling process like for you? How did you do it? What were the mentors that were around you? How did you go about scaling?
So I've never like paid for formal education per se. Like I've never joined a mastermind. I've never joined a whatever. I've always just tried to give as much as I can or help out or just become friends with people that, do things that you're looking to do and or just in the business, right? So I have a local group of buddies that they all have 50 plus rentals that we have a group chat, right? We're always talking about things we're seeing, what's going on. We hang out on a regular basis. And then scaling wise, like I think the first thing someone does is they flip 3 houses, they make some money, right? And then they go buy a Lamborghini. They
Yeah.
go buy crazy items. I still live in the same house that me and my wife built when I was a teacher, right? I drive a Ford F-150 XLT, not a Raptor, right?
Yep.
I don't have any crazy, I don't know, collection habits or exotic cars or anything like that. I still have the Walmart hoodie that my mother-in-law stitched on Yoak Properties, or actually she used an iron. I still wear it. I
There you
mean,
go.
I reinvest everything into the company to help it grow. I mean, that's if you don't have the capital to continue to scale, you're not going to be able to do it. Whether that's down payments for a fix and flip loan, whether that's buying it in cash because you need to close in 2 days, or whatever it is, just staying really mindful and living underneath your means so you can reinvest it, and then hiring good people.
Yeah,
I
let's talk
always
about that.
Yeah, hiring good people's tough. Like you gotta good people don't want to work for a shitty person off the rip, right?
Yep.
Everyone knows that. So you have to be a good person at heart and have to have people's best interests in mind. There's still crews that from 4 or 5 years ago when I met them when I was doing burrs or whatever, they still work for me today as a 1099 sub crew, right? I still have my first 2 crews I ever hired. The one cruise, he's like, I haven't worked for anyone in 5 years, Steve. He's
Wow.
like, you just send me a house. I know the drill. We do it. And then when I'm done or close to it, you send the next address. He's like, I haven't
Wow.
done anything else.
That's a testament to your ability to have those trusted relationships. I was speaking with some investors who do this remotely, and they mentioned a realtor that they worked with who sold them a property, ended up her or her husband was a contractor, and so they were able to get a deal done that way with incredible trust. But I think that how often, Steve, do we hear about, the wrong contractor and so on and so forth? But very rarely do people talk about the wrong investor. And so you have to look at it from both sides of it. Like if your contractors don't want to work for you and you get this issue repeatedly, and now you're saying, maybe it's what am I doing in my communication that's causing my contractors? Is it a pay issue? Is it I'm not giving them the right information? What's going on here?
You need to set up expectations the best you can up front and lay out a process of what happens throughout the rehab. So our current pay situation is, hey, whatever is completed by Monday and the invoice is in by 8 a.m. is paid out on Friday. We do labor only quotes. We pay for materials. You pick them up at Home Depot. We pay for them via phone sale. And that's the process. We get one bulk delivery sent to every house with all your big items. And then they're responsible for picking up all the switches, the cover plates, the connection lines, the little shutoffs, the little things they need. And we just try to make sure we hammer out, hey, this is the process. This is what you do. The first one's always a little bumpy, so a lot of check-ins daily, every other day, just to make sure it's going well. And then, the second, third, fourth one, once they've made 6, 7, 8 houses, they're hooked. They're not going anywhere. Because we don't micromanage the crew, right? We
Yeah.
manage them to where they need to be, and then we say, hey, this is the process. Repeat it every time. There's no variation. We're not doing a $500,000 flip. My guys are
Yeah.
not $500,000 flip guys. They're rental grade. Everything will work. Everything will look good, but it's not going to be above and beyond.
Yeah, it's not you're not selling it to beat the highest in the neighborhood on the MLS. I get it.
Correct.
Now, as far as scaling at this point that you're at today, and I'm curious because I've heard a number of different, career paths, so to speak, in the real estate space. I've heard people, the path that I'm on is wholesaler. I'm still trying to get my first fix and flip here, Steve. I'm about a year and a half deep into this. Wholesaler, fix and flip, and then I've heard people go short term, mid term, long term, corporate housing. I've heard people go commercial. I've heard people go note buyer, so on and so forth. But I've also heard people just say, "Hey, I'm gonna do the fix and flip and just scale it even bigger, or maybe start getting into developing, building out subdivisions." What's your take on this, and where do you see the next expansion for you?
Yeah, so I like doing the fix and flip, and I think the big thing is just keep hiring people to make my role smaller and smaller on a daily basis. So before I had to walk every house, and then me and my project manager, one of the two of us had to walk the house. And now I have a person like an acquisitions person that he does all the walk-ins of every house. And then now I have two project managers, and all they focus on now is just project management, right? So I keep building people into the business to make it easier and easier for me not to have to work 24/7 on the flips. I do enjoy the note lending. I do enjoy my rental properties. I don't have a goal to do a $50 million subdivision or buy a $50 million
Yeah.
asset. I don't know if that's just the Midwest mindset and I need to grow out of it and shoot for the stars, rocket ship 10X, Grant Cardone my life. But I have two young kids. They're 2 and 4. I get to go home to them every night. I'm home between 3 and 5 every day. Wake up in the morning. They go to school or daycare. I leave. It's seems like a normal life to me and something I enjoy. And it's kind of cool. My wife gets to work part time now as a teacher because she was a teacher in the district, right? So now she has
Yeah.
a job share. So she works 2 days one week, 3 days the next. Gets to be at home with the kids. And, when we want to go on vacation, we're able to do that. Nothing too wild, just to Florida because I got to have cell service, right?
Yeah. Where do you go in Florida? I love Florida. I love
Uh,
Florida.
Going to St. Pete's next
No
week,
way.
actually. Yeah.
St. Pete, I just had a guest yesterday tell me, because I'm a big Fort Lauderdale guy. I love Fort
Okay.
Lauderdale. He said, I'm a realtor. This is what he said to me. I'm a realtor in West Florida. Dylan, you got to go West Florida. I said, well, I don't know any. Where, Tampa? And he said, well, if you were a little older, I would have told you. I think he said Saratoga. But if you're a little younger, St. Pete. And I had never really looked into St. Pete. And I'm like, man, how come I never heard of St. Pete? What am I doing? It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I stay in Isadel Sol, which is like right over the bridge from St. Pete. They have like a half-mile bridge on a waterway. But you can go to Fort DeSoto, which is like a little more quiet, not like beach bars, but more like nature preserve with a beach. Or you have St. Pete Beach, which is like your everyday beach traffic that you would imagine, right?
Yeah.
So you got a few different options beach wise, depending on what you like. And there's tons of activities, and Tampa's right there. And there's downtown St. Pete as well. I used to like to go down there for race week. It was always packed for like IndyCar stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I tell people this. I don't know how, but I'm gonna figure out a way. I'm in Dallas area right now. I'm gonna figure out a way to move out to Florida. I was thinking Fort Lauderdale, but who knows St. Pete. But the Steve, we are coming up on time here. Where can folks go to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Steve Yoak. I post all my real estate content there. I do like 4 shorts a week. And then if you're looking for a turnkey updated property, you can go to akronturnkey.com. So it's just Akron, AKRON, turnkey.com. And then just in the top, just request info on the website, and we'll have myself or one of my employees reach out, just kind of see what you're looking for. Typically, these properties cash flow between $300 and $400 a month, with your standard mortgage, down payment, all that stuff.
Steve, thank you so much for coming on the show, for talking with us about your journey. And thank you for your time, man.
Thanks for having me, Dylan. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.